Hello watch enthusiasts. Now today I'd like to talk about the different types of straps on the market, because a number of people have asked me what straps would be best for what watches and which occasions. So I thought I'd do a roundup of all the major types of straps. Now I will leave out the more minor straps and the ones which one doesn't see, simply because they're less relevant and I could go on for a very, very long time, and I imagine far longer than one would want to listen to. So I'm going over the basic and major types of straps in this video. I would equally like to talk about the advantages and disadvantages of using each of these types of straps, and the various constraints they will have on the way you wear a watch, but equally the advantages that they will have, and the particular plus points that each strap will give. Now, the first strap which I'd like to look at and show is the standard leather strap. Now, I appreciate that is difficult to say that there is a standard leather strap, because of course leathers come in different finishes and different styles. But in this video I'd just like to cover the basics of leather straps. So this, for example, is a Fleurus blue leather strap, which is something I've owned for a long time, and I've worn on lots of watches. But the main pros I've found to a leather strap is the fact that it's extremely comfortable. For example, when you're sitting at a desk in the office. It offers immense comfort and also will slip under the cuff easily. Equally, a beautiful aspect of a leather strap is the fact that it's pretty much infinitely adjustable. Even if the numerous holes already on the strap don't fit your wrist, you can always have extra holes cut into the strap. Now, most leather straps are backed with a softer, altogether less durable leather on the backing, which is there to make it more comfortable on the wrist. Equally, the backing tends to be a harder grain of leather, or at least one more resilient to the elements. Now, most straps have buckles, though some have deployants, like my Tissot, which do make putting the watch on and off easier, taking the watch on and off easier, but then again, it's more of a hassle to adjust them. Now, the advantages of a normal leather strap are, of course, its comfort, but equally there are disadvantages. The most notable being, of course, the lack of protection against water. Now, I will cover waterproof leather straps, but in general, leather straps do not fare well with water. Leather will be damaged by water. It'll dry hard and then crack, thus resulting in a lack of safety, really, for keeping the watch on your wrist, which is not really what you want when wearing an expensive timepiece in the elements. But then again, if you're wearing a dress watch, a leather strap is an extremely functional sort of strap, and the perfect strap really for more casual and equally formal occasions, as a very versatile style of strap. One attractive alternative to a standard leather strap is a different type of leather. So in this case, this is alligator skin. So it's again, it has a different type of grain. So whereas leather will have a fairly uniform grain, this has these pads where the scales of the alligator were. Again, these are usually dark colours such as black, but one can get lighter colours. And these are very much the most formal of straps. And these offer less practicality than leather, simply because they tend to be less supple when new. But a very high quality strap will break in quite nicely. Again, these have softer leather underneath, to make them more comfortable in dress occasions, because these will be worn exclusively on dress watches, and make for really the perfect strap for a nice dress watch, because it makes the whole watch look altogether more formal and altogether less sporty and less casual. Another nice alternative to a standard leather strap is an ostrich leather strap, and this offers a very different grain. So it offers these little lumps around the strap, which are where the quills of the ostrich used to be. And this will give, well, generally coloured in lighter colours, this will give a watch a much more sporty but classic look. So, for example, on this Jaeger Reverso, it looks right at home, with a very old-fashioned 1930s sort of sporty aspect. In my opinion, ostrich is the ultimate compromise between extremely formal dress occasion straps and straps which you can use on a more daily basis, still giving a timeless elegance and real beauty to a watch. Now, another type of leather strap, which is often seen on more sports and racing-inspired watches, is the perforated leather strap, and this is often known as a rally strap. And here I have one which I bought from I bought from Kota on Amazon a long time ago. It's not a wonderful quality strap, but it serves as a demonstration. And as you see, these have these large perforated holes, large perforations in the strap, which originally was designed for racing drivers to have more ventilation against their wrists, but still have the comfort of a leather strap without having to have a bracelet, which of course was less practical if you had to adjust its size. Now, these tend to come in larger sizes. They're often worn on larger watches. An example of that would be, for example, a Tag Heuer Monaco. They're often seen on perforated leather straps like this. And of course, the advantages of leather strap are that it's more breathable in hot weather, but still isn't impervious to sweat, for example, and can still be damaged by perspiration. It does also offer a slightly more sporty aspect to a traditionally dressy and dress-inspired sort of strap. So if this is compared to a dress style of strap, one can immediately tell that that this is a more sports-oriented strap. Albeit this one goes a little bit further due to the contrasting stitching, which I bought for a particular timepiece which had this colouring. These again tend to have buckles. Rarely do these have deployants, and if they do, they're on very high-end wristwatches. But these usually come with buckles simply because they're more easy to adjust on the fly. Now again, these aren't impervious to water and can still be damaged very easily, but do offer comfort. Now, equally, another style which has been seen a lot is the aviation style of strap, and these are an interesting topic because they're very much classic aviation straps. Now, this came on an AV8 watch, which I had a while back. I wasn't particularly impressed by the watch, but the strap I still enjoy wearing. And albeit on this strap, it's stylized. Aviation straps tend to be perforated and then riveted. And this was originally to stop the straps coming apart, to give them more resistance, which is of course because in aviation a timepiece was an instrument for judging your location. You would use it to judge your location on the basis of the speed you've been going, and the altitude and so on. So of course, being an instrument, it had to be kept to your wrist very firmly. So as a result, they manufactured these, which had a particular design with these rivetings to keep them on the wrist. Again, these were often made from thicker leather than other straps to make them more durable and more resilient. Now, though not waterproof, these straps were still very resistant to water, simply because actually they were designed to dry but not be damaged too badly. So the strap would be discoloured. This is what one sees often on older timepieces and their straps. In particular watches one sees, for example, from the 40s. But in this case, and this is of course a modern interpretation, but they would be discoloured and damaged by the water, but would still retain their resilience. And again, this is something seen in this with the thickness of the strap. Now, buckles were also used in these. However, there was also another version of this strap, which looked like this. The other style of this strap is also riveted, but has a very different buckle system. So rather than having a simple normal buckle that one would see on any other leather strap, these have a buckle which actually passes through a pocket in the leather, as you can see from this photograph. And that means that if you, for example, were to strike your wrist on something and undo the buckle would slide along the strap, but would catch on the end and would stop the wristwatch from being lost and falling, for example, out of your aeroplane or onto the cockpit floor. And that was the original concept of these, to keep the wristwatch on your wrist no matter what happened. These were also made in much longer lengths to go around your leg as well in some bombers, which is also interesting, but the modern ones tend to be shorter. But these offer a certain security. Now this one, for example, is from Laco, the famous Luftwaffe wristwatch company. And as you can see, this is very high quality, again riveted for that security. In my opinion, despite being somewhat quirky pieces, I believe that these straps could be worn at formal occasions. Obviously, a very, very large pilot's watch will be difficult to fit under a cuff, so that's something to consider. But otherwise, I think these straps are perfectly appropriate because they're finished beautifully and finished in a formal and subdued sort of fashion. Another quirky leather option is the Bun Strap, and this is a strap which was again designed for aviation, but also for exploring. And this came about in order to insulate the wrist from the temperature of the case of the wristwatch. Now, this came in both the form of in cold climates and in very high temperature situations. So this was originally designed in aviation for example, if the aircraft caught fire, the watch that you were wearing would heat up immensely in the flames, and it would often burn pilots' wrists very, very badly. So this was why the Bun Strap was invented, in order to keep the wristwatch away from the wrist in a fire. This was also the case in exploration, because in colder climates, the case of the watch being metal would actually freeze to the wrist of the wearer, of course causing massive damage to the skin when peeled off. Which was again why bun straps were used, and hence why this Tudor Heritage Ranger, one of my favourite watches actually in this sort of category, is actually equipped with one of these straps, and I think it's a very interesting strap to own and an interesting strap to have on a wristwatch. I think these straps can again be worn formally, but be prepared to be asked some questions about it because they are rather rare and unseen by most people. As far as leather straps go, suede and velour sort of style of straps can also be very, very nice for slightly more quirky timepieces. In this case, it's a Nomos, which are a company which I love in terms of their design. I just think they make beautiful watches. But in this case, these are straps which are much more delicate than normal leather. So these are some of the most delicate straps to own, because one has to take very much care with them to avoid damaging the suede topping. But equally, they're extremely comfortable due to their soft nature, in both senses, in terms of their supple nature, as well as the fact that they have that furry texture, if you will, which again makes them extremely comfortable to wear at the office, but really not straps to be worn in an outdoor sort of situation. Now, leather straps have also been adapted, as this one has been, to water resistance, and these are straps which for a while have been treated with various chemicals. Depending on the era the strap's from, to make leather straps more durable and more resistant to water. And of course, water damage being the key problem with leather straps, these tend to be substantially thicker. They tend to be this flat style of leather, simply because it's the least porous. Equally, their backing, unlike most other leather straps, will be the same as the topping, in order to retain that waterproofing. Now, these straps are often seen on Zinn timepieces. This one's from Spinnaker, which I received with the Haas, but are often seen on Zinn timepieces due to their water-resistant models in their U series, being quite comfortable to wear on a day-to-day basis on these leather straps. Now, equally, these straps often have a fold-over here. Not all waterproof leather straps have this, but often they have a fold-over here to add resistance and make the strap altogether more secure. Because, of course, these are tools rather than simple accessories. Now, again, these are usually buckled, though they do sometimes come on deployants. More often than not, they're buckled. And then one also sees these flaps sometimes. On the Zinn models, they have these as well, which slip between the wrist and the clasp, or rather the buckle, to make it more comfortable. However, these straps have gradually been rendered obsolete by the fact that other straps, such as rubber and Natos, which I'll show you in a second, offer better durability to the elements, because of course leather is still more fragile and more easily damaged than for example rubber. And equally, the extra ingredients in, for example, salt water and seawater increase the damage to these straps, and does mean that they have a relatively short life when being used properly for diving. So the first option, other than these for waterproof types of straps and more rugged straps, are Natos. And Nato straps were originally came out in the 1960s in this grey, and they were commissioned by the army, the armed forces, in order to make make it more difficult to lose a wristwatch. Now, this is because these straps go straight through the lugs of a wristwatch. I'll show you this. So, if one takes a wristwatch, the strap will in fact pass through the first lug and pass the spring bar, and then pass back through the other. Now this is easier said than done on certain watches because the clearance is quite small, but one gets the hang of passing these through, and then one simply slips this other piece through here once again, and this keeps the watch, as you can see, sitting above the strap, and therefore if a spring bar were to snap or shear, the watch would still be suspended by the other, making for a much more much safer wear for, as you can imagine, the armed forces with their wristwatches in some very difficult situations. Equally, nylon is nigh on impervious to any sort of damage from water. Now these can be damaged if left for a long time in sunlight, in direct sunlight, but frankly one would rarely see that. Equally, if these fray, one can simply seal them with a lighter or a flame of some sort, because of course nylon contracts and melts into balls along the edge if you heat it up, so any fray can be melted back, which is again a major help. Equally, this second piece under here, this secondary fold, prevents the watch from simply sliding off the strap when picked up, which adds another level of security. Again, the strap then wraps through here and can then be folded up into these keepers, thus helping the watch remain there. Now, again, these are also the most versatile types of straps in terms of colours, simply because they're available in such a number of different colours. Although originally they came in this Admiralty grey, as you see here, now they're available in endless colours, from very simple sort of colours through to different patterns, as you can see. For example, this Bond Nato strap with the stripes. Then, of course, there are endless patterns, and one often sees very brightly coloured versions of these straps as well, which makes them really perfect for sports. That said, though, these straps really aren't appropriate for formal occasions due to their rather rugged look and their lack of elegance, if you will. So I would stick to leather straps for formal occasions. Now, equally, rubber is also a major type of strap, and I make the connection here because my particular rubber strap of choice is a Nato strap, and this is made by Page & Cooper. As you can see, it's branded on here. If I can get the camera to focus, there we are. With these stainless steel parts, and I'm not I'm not advertising for Page & Cooper here, but I do like their products a lot in terms of their straps. I find them to be very high quality. Now, these do differ from other straps in that this will happen with any strap really when you spend a bit more. They come in natural rubber, as opposed to, for example, the PVC strap, which I have on my my Oris Aquis. Whereas those PVC straps tend to be damaged by sunlight and so on, these natural rubber straps tend to function better and not be damaged by sunlight and UV, which is a real advantage when using these in the sea, for example. Equally, this is a NATO style of strap, so it works just the same as any other NATO strap, which again gives that level of security. But of course, as you've seen on my Aquis, one can get straps, and most rubber straps are like normal leather straps, just made of rubber. And the advantages of these are, of course, that they're non-porous to water, and they don't absorb water. So hence, if you take your strap out of the water, a simple wipe will dry it off. Whereas a NATO strap, for example, will remain dry for a few minutes, maybe a few hours, in colder climates. Equally, these are easier to clean, as you simply can wipe them off rather than having to actually wash them. Now, if you like the look of a NATO strap, but don't like the fact that it raises the watch up somewhat off the wrist, then a Zulu strap is perhaps for you. Now, this has a very similar design to a NATO strap, with a similar weave and similar design of buckles. However, the hardware on Zulus tends to be thicker and more resistant. Equally, these slide through the spring bars only once, rather than having that second fold as a NATO would, thus making the watch sit much lower to the wrist and making it more comfortable for some with much higher watches. This will also help taller watches fit under a cuff, for example, whereas actually adding a couple of mils of nylon to the height of a watch can make a substantial difference when wearing the watch on an occasion where you're not wearing short sleeves. Again, these are just as resilient as NATO straps, but just don't offer the security of being able to hang the watch up by its buckle and expect the wristwatch not to slide off. Whereas with the NATO strap, the second fold will actually catch the watch. But if you're happy with that slight sacrifice, then perhaps a Zulu strap is for you. Now, a more dressy alternative to a NATO or a Zulu is a Purlin strap, and Purlin straps are a slightly more casual, less sporty version of a straight-through strap, which passes through both lugs. Now, these straps tend to be quite thin, as you can see from this one. This is a pretty high-quality one, and they're again nylon, but they're woven much more loosely. If I can focus that for you to see clearly. As you see, it's woven quite loosely to give nice breathability and great comfort in hot weather, as well as being a nice alternative to a leather strap, thus making the wear of the watch more pleasant in warmer climates, while retaining a certain casual and relaxed look. Now, these also have interesting buckle designs, so the strap actually passes through this and then back through here, like for example a swatch bracelet, a swatch strap would rather, where the second keeper is in fact placed on the same piece of metal as the buckle itself. Now, these are very simple in design. They're very much just a piece of this nylon, this woven nylon, which again has a single keeper, which is loose, and then again the back of the buckle to catch the strap. Now, as you can see, it passes simply straight through the spring bars, just like a NATO strap, or rather more like a Zulu, since it doesn't have the secondary piece underneath. Also, on account of that very thin nature of it, it does mean that the strap does feel almost as though it was simply attached to the spring bars, because one really doesn't feel the piece of nylon beneath the watch, simply due to its thin nature. Now, what I will point out though is this can make larger watches like this, for example, seem unbalanced on the wrist, because there's no weight to hold them down, so they do wobble around a little bit, which is something to bear in mind. Though one shouldn't underestimate the strength of a nylon strap like a Purlin or a NATO, because they really are extremely resilient to force being applied to them. Again, these do offer great quality, again because of, or rather great comfort, sorry, due to that thin profile and that high breathability. Anyway, I shall end on a picture of that beautiful Tudor Heritage Ranger on that beautiful Bun Strap, which in my opinion suits this watch perfectly. So I hope this video answered the questions I've been asked, and I hope that you enjoyed the video. If you did, then please please like, share and subscribe in order to help this channel, because every like, share and subscription is appreciated. So thank you very much for watching. This is I'm on the Watch Guy, over and out.